to the keep to time. I've got an hour and a half presentation. Only kidding. He's not joking. They all know me too well. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to Robert Lowry for backing Essex Business for the sponsorship of this morning, and for also for all the backing Essex Business that we do in the north of the county. I'm not being parochial really, and the supporting of businesses. So thank you for all that work, and it's good to see you here today. I'm just going to take a couple of moments just to talk a little bit about. It's interesting with Tendring, because so often Tendring doesn't get a good name for having a wide range and diversity of businesses. But we do. We have a really diverse range of businesses across Tendring. From pick out your mobile phone, and on almost every one of your mobile phones we have something which is made in Clacton. Flooring for the Olympics of 2012 was made in Clacton. In the north of the district, you've got one of the biggest minority ethnic food suppliers. The diversity of you here today, of the offer of different businesses, is what is almost a hidden secret. So thank you for what you do, but also it's that kind of that trumpet blowing, trumpet shouting, and then it's my metaphor, trumpet blowing about the opportunities and the diversity of businesses in Tendring. And I think that that's so often missed. So often people go straight into the kind of negativity, when actually the opportunities are amazing. It is also about the support we give to our young people, because we're creating the opportunities, creating the aspirations, mean that our young people are looking to say there are jobs, but not just jobs, there are careers in Tendring, and this gives them the incentivisation to go on to work in Tendring rather than going away. And the next fortnight is a real celebration of our businesses in Tendring. And I've got to have my notes here just to kind of remember all the different events, because there are so many. But we've got the Coastal Tourism event on the tomorrow in Dovercourt, Digital and Independent Retailers on Wednesday, the Annual Jobs and Skills Fair, which is on Thursday. And that's a really interesting event, because it's an event where people actually get jobs. They don't just sort of come along and talk about them, they actually get jobs, and I think that's a fantastic event, which over many years has grown and grown and grown. But also, it gives young people the opportunity, well not just young people actually, it gives all people the opportunity sometimes to try things out. Did you enjoy that? Is it something you'd actually do? So it's not just going about being interviewed, but about asking about and trying things out. And I just think it's a very different way of running a jobs fair. And the way in which we give people their opportunity. Women in business, about recognising the different women in business which we have across Tendring, and the offer which is made. And I think that's encouraging. I think that's a great event. And that's next Monday. Creative and Cultural in Harwich on the 3rd, and also the Disability Confidence on the 3rd in Holland-on-Sea. There's also the Armed Forces Recognition Scheme event. And again, and I'll say this, I'll hands up now and say I've got a vested interest, and I'm ex-forces myself, but saying is it's about creating the understanding that people from the armed forces have such a diverse offer from the training they have, and sometimes they don't realise what their offer is, and sometimes businesses don't realise their training is very good transportable skills. So the Armed Forces Covenant, which we're, as a Tendring Council, a member of, how that translates into businesses, and so the Armed Forces event is a great one. And then Freeport and Innovation Opportunities, which is on the 4th in Wicks, which obviously is very dear to Ivan's, Councillor Henderson's heart there. And then of course we've got the celebration of businesses, which is next week on Thursday. So a big thank you to everybody who's there, and there are still some seats available, I believe, on Eventbrite, is it, to go to get some of the tickets. So just a quick plug there as well, if you're wanting to go on there. So I feel really excited about this week, because it is a celebration of our businesses, it is a celebration of our opportunity. It is the Sunshine Coast, and without fail we've got the sunshine here. Whether you look that way, which is kind of open views, or that way, which you've got some fantastic views across the sea. So what a great place to be based. So thank you for coming. I hope you, whatever events you manage to go to in the course of the next fortnight, I hope that you enjoy and find them useful. and also about giving you those megaphones to shout about the opportunities and businesses of Tendring. I now want to introduce you to Councillor Ivan Henderson, who is the portfolio holder whose economic growth is about the diversity of what we're doing at the moment. Now, I've got an hour of what he's doing. No, what's he doing? So, without more ado, before I take any of yours, I'm going to pass over to Ivan to talk about it. Ivan, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and as Ian said, being given this position, this cabinet role, is something that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm already enjoying every bit of it. And thanks to the leader at the back of the room, Mark Stevenson, for actually putting his trust in me to actually take this job on. I just want to say, Ian's mentioned it to you, the last time I stood here, or in here, and did a speech, the sun was shining, and hopefully it's going to carry on shining here for the sunspot. And it's great to see you here with us, seeing what this fantastic facility will bring to the area and to local businesses. The Sunspot was funded through a partnership. I always said it, I said it the last time I was here. You need a good leadership, partnership, and of course you need the right investment. And those three things have actually worked really well here in this building. And so we had 2.3 million getting building fund from the South East Local Enterprise Partnership. We had £2 million from Essex County Council and over £800,000 put in from TDC. So you can see the sort of partnership, innovative idea this has been, and hopefully this will benefit the wider community around Tendring, certainly the businesses around here today. Just something about the building. There's 24 units here. There's an additional one because that's there. We've got a facility operations manager to support those businesses in tenancy. But we also have cold beer here to offer support and business to those businesses that have taken up this opportunity here. And some of you'll see the outlet here, but some of I stood here last time doing this speech and it sounded like an estate agent, but if you look around some of these buildings, I mean, the visual impact out there, looking out to sea, I would certainly want to work here and I'd feel good about it. So I'm hoping that these businesses, which we now hear, a few weeks ago I was told there was 8 took up the opportunity to come and work here. I was then told last week there was 14. I'm now being told there's 19. So if anyone's thinking about coming here to set up your business, your time's running out. So make sure you take that opportunity when you can. The Sunspot's not just one of the projects which we're the Regeneration Economic Development team are actually running at the moment and being responsible for. They've got a huge task ahead of them, and I've got to say they're in here today. They are a fantastic team, probably overworked, so they might ask for some more money. They are overworked, overstretched. The resources are being stretched to the limits. But we've got the Sunspot here. We've got 2 levelling up projects, one in Clacton and a capital regeneration project in Dovercourt to try and refurbish and enhance that town centre. And both of those projects have got an element of adult learning, adult education attached to them. And I find that one of the really important things for businesses, as well as them being successful. We need to make sure they're backed up with the skills and training and support they need to actually make them successful. And I'm pleased that Kevin's here, and thanks to Kevin for hosting in his new cafe for us today. But Kevin's business will be taking on an apprenticeship, so we're already seeing the successes of training and skills here. So on top of those levelling up and regeneration projects, we've got Freeport East, as Ian mentioned. We've got another meeting this week with Freeport is to see what progress is being made, and having read the reports so far, there is definitely progress being made there. We're already talking about a new industrial site in Horsley Cross, which is not far from here, which is going to benefit lots of businesses with those units. So I've already mentioned the Economic Regeneration team are here. They are here to offer any support and advice. If you want any more information about the projects that I've mentioned, they're here to talk to you, and they will discuss them with you. But on that note, it's time for me to hand over. So I'm going to hand over to Scott Russell from Paddy and Scott's Coffee. I've heard Scott before. I was talking to him earlier, and it was a really interesting story that Scott got to tell people, and I'm sure you're really going to enjoy it. But I like their motto as well, Scott, because it says fueling ambition. And speaking as someone with experience, sometimes you're labelled with the address you come from. And we're sitting in an area like Jaywick, which is already, you know, people are labelled. But my view is that I was labelled with Bathside Bay. I was an old Bathsider boy. And sometimes people look at the address and think, well, there's not much future. But I'll tell you, with ambition, with the right ambition, everyone should have an opportunity. Everyone should have a chance in life, and this is what we're here for, to give them that support to make sure everyone can enjoy an opportunity that they may have in the future. But over to Scott. I'll let Scott take over. Thanks very much for listening.
What a lovely audience. Do you know when you travel to places and you hear comedians or bands and they say, it's really lovely to be in Bath, it's really lovely to be in Edinburgh, and they'll do a little thing on Google and they'll find out something about the area and they'll say something. But do you know what, guys? It's really lovely to be back in January, because I had my first ever job in January in 1980. Blondie was in the charts, and I was a gutter smart little 9-year-old running around, and my mate lived in Talbot Avenue, and I walked down there today. I'm now the head of a global coffee brand that produces enough coffee to fill 90,000 cups of coffee per day. So what does 90,000 cups of coffee look like from a monetary perspective? It's about 17 million quid a year. And here's the kicker, guys. Paddy and Scott's isn't my first gig. It's not my first rodeo. It's my 5th company. I've built and sold 4 companies prior, totaling a little over 50 million quid. So not bad for a little gutter snipe Jaywood kid, yeah, where people used to keep an eye on me in case I nicked their sweets. So I'm very proud of that, and I get to do these talks all around the world, and I always talk about Essex, and Essex gets a really bad rap, and I think it doesn't. I think it's one of the most entrepreneurial counties in the UK. There are more people that own their houses outright in Essex than any other county. There are more entrepreneurs in Essex than I think the rest of the UK. So I'm incredibly proud to endorse my dulcet tones of this brilliant county and tell you what a fabulous place it is to do business. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and keep it quite light, and I do lots of talks in schools as well, and I'm going to talk about children, so I think it's really important that we encourage our kids to do this. So I'm going to spin through this quite quickly, but I'm going to talk to you. First of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a quick 90-second video, because it will just tell you what Paddy and Scott's all about quicker than I can do it. So if I can have your attention, if I see anybody looking at their phones, I will come pick them up and put them in front. Okay? So I talk to my children. Okay? But I'll let you listen to this first, and then we'll run through a couple of things.
Did you know there are 34 people between the coffee farmer and your morning cup of coffee? That's 34 people each taking their cut from the money that should be going to the farmer. Think shipping agents, brokers, unfair cooperatives, and worst of all, bankers. Sounds stupid, right? But that's just how it's always been done. Until now. We said screw that and jumped on a plane to Kenya, where we met George, a 5th generation coffee farmer. We saw George's passion, his beautiful farmers working on the farm, they have kids who go to school. So why not invest our profits from the farm back into the school, building new toilets, roofs, and providing meals so no child goes to school hungry? Then we said, why keep this just in Kenya? Let's create a coffee where every bag sold provides a meal for a child all around the coffee belt. That's that line across the equator where all the world's best coffee is grown. We call this lunchbox coffee, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, we're actually friends with the farmers and have invested thousands on modern farming techniques into small micro farms across the world. So our coffee not only tastes damn incredible, but also does amazing things. Not bad for a humble cup of coffee, eh? So when we say our coffee tastes better because it's changing lives with every cup, it's a fact.
Do you know what? I must have watched that 100 times, and I still get hairs on my arms. I still get like the back of my neck, because that's my farm. I created that, and we touch the lives of 100,000 people around the world. And if you go into Marketfield School, just down the road, into the new library complex there, you'll see a coffee shop in there that we built with the community of Jaywick. It was all done for free. Everybody put their time and effort into it. Some brilliant companies backed that project, and we launched that. And if you go and you stand there and you see those young adults making coffee now, these are adults that come from a background where they're statistically 95% of them will not go on to get meaningful employment. What a terrible statistic, yeah? Because these are bloody brilliant, these kids. And I tell you what, they're making coffee better than our baristas do in London, Mayfair, Edinburgh, Glasgow, you name it. These guys are prestigious in how well they make their coffee. And if you go to the front of the counter, it does say, coffee tastes better when it's changing lives. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to you about doing good is good for business. So, just bear with me, because I'm going to try to inspire you.
Did you know?
Now, does anybody ever heard of the term ikigai? Put your hand up if you've ever heard the term ikigai. Brilliant. I always get worried when no one puts their hand up. So ikigai is the concept of it's aligning your moral compass. I'm not going to stand here and evangelise to you, and I'm not going to talk to you, but I think it's really important. It's really important for me. So I think in business, it's really important to do what you love. You're going to do this all your life, so you've got to bloody love it. You've got to wake up in the morning and think, I can't wait to get to work. And trust me, most people that work in our business do want to wake up in the morning and do want to get to work. Okay? So pillar number one, I want you to read that. I want to put it in your mind, pillar number one. Pillar number two, does the world need what you're providing? Does it need it? And if you can do those two things, you're halfway there. Number three, okay? Are you good at what you do? Not only do you love it, does the world need it? Are you bloody good at it? Are you good at it? Really important. And last of all, we're in commerce, business by definition. Can you get paid for it? So this is the foundation of Paddy and Scott's. This is the foundation of my business. This is the foundation of the movement that makes us a force for good. We're not a charity. We are a for-profit organisation. And I make a lot of profit. And I'm proud to say that. I really am. A, because I pay tax. Huge amounts of tax. Secondly, when I'm making profit, it allows me to do some brilliant stuff around the world. I'm not part of an NGO. We don't get subsidy from the government. We invest our own cash, shareholder money, my money into projects. Because why do we do it? Because it's good for business. So when you're thinking about your business, when you're thinking about your mindset, think about ikigai, and you can't go too wrong. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip very quickly. When I first thought about creating the Maru Farm project, it was because there was an easy option. The easy option for me is to work with this organisation here called Fairtrade, or the Rainforest Alliance. And just so you know, what you do is you pay 10% of your turnover to the foundation, your purchasing, shall I say, and they invest that to you in good projects. So being a tenacious J boy, I wanted to know what those good projects were. And what I got was a lovely brochure, really lovely, beautifully printed actually. I got a CD, you can plug in, you watch it again. And I said, hey guys, I'm not buying this, okay? I'm spending tens of thousands of dollars, at the time nearly $60,000 to give to you. What are you doing with my money? And I sent an email, I tried to call them, they wouldn't respond. So I went to the office, knocked on the door, they went to me, oh Christ, sit outside and we'll get someone to see you in a minute. I stood outside for about half an hour, and just so you know guys, it was a beautiful office, it was lovely. It was in Midland Street in London, near Covent Garden. If anybody works at the Fair Trade Foundation, I'm not having to dig at you, okay? I do love what you guys do. I think the world can do things better sometimes. And I got to walk into these lovely offices. These doors all open up, and I got to sit down, all these lovely people talking around in different languages. There were football tables, there were bean bags, and there were 3 floors, and I got up to the top floor, and I met the chief exec. She was lovely, actually. I also met her lawyer, which was really good. I took notes, everything I said. And I met the marketing team, and I met everybody then, and at the end of it, I walked out thinking, this ain't for me. I reckon I could do this better. So we set up the Fair Trade 2.0. I got challenged by Fair Trade, it was brilliant. So I got loads of press, it's lovely. So we took them on, and we now work with the Fair Trade Foundation, and they work with us. And we've also worked with the International Trade Centre, which is a joint agency between the United Nations, bless you, United Nations and UNICEF, and they followed us for 9 months on our project in Maryland, where we feed the children, we build the schools, and it was called a white paper on better returns for African farmers, and we are described as a shining light of entrepreneurialism. This is how the world should trade coffee. Dealing direct. Who saw the W on there? Yeah, I had to cut that out of schools. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you that, because I'm not a rebel without a cause. We're not just doing things and we want to shout about it. I'm doing it because it fits my moral compass. You know, I'm not going to pay for this. I've got children that need feeding. I've got schools where little children haven't even got a toilet to go to. There's no running water. You know, I've seen classrooms with no windows in it, no stuff. And this is not good. I'm the father of 4 boys. I'm not going to let that happen. So I think I can do it better. And the world can now see how I'm doing it better. Where did this come from? Jamie. I'm going to keep coming back to that. I'm not going to let you forget that. I'm not going to let you forget that. So, I gave a talk recently at a school in Colchester, and I want you to come up with some ideas. And the ideas were bloody brilliant. Okay? So, first and foremost, these are actual businesses. So the first one, has anybody ever seen these key cups? These sort of, it saves you from, okay, so this key cup here is made from, do you know those big pen lids that you get with a big pen? And they're brilliant for picking your ears, aren't they? It's really brilliant. You can really pick your ears, can't you? Well, there are, no one's ever going to drink my coffee now. But these cups are made from big pen lids, which there are huge amounts of these that go into landfill. So we had an intern, a young girl that comes to work is called Maddie Gray. And we said, you're going to work with Paddy Scott's for a month, well, it's 3 weeks during the school holidays. And we want you to create a cup that's made from plastic, recycled plastic. And I tell this story a lot, so you've heard it before, but please bear with me. But so this cup was designed by a 15-year-old girl. And she designed it so it fitted underneath our coffee machines. She designed it so it looked exactly like a coffee cup. She designed it from recyclable big pen lids, which are BPA free, and they're also made in the UK. Because I couldn't get the idea of shipping it from China. I wanted it made in the UK. So we proudly launched these 10 years ago. And so far now we have sold, or we've distributed, about 1.5 million of these cups are out there. And we reckon that that's saved about 150 million cups going into landfill. Maddie Gray, who worked for us, is now head of sustainability at EDF, and she's also a keynote speaker on sustainability. How good is that? That's fueling ambition. That's what it's about. So I gave a talk in Kesgrave High School, and I asked them to put their hands up if they've got any good ideas. Any ideas? It was really brilliant because kids are great. What they do, they have no filter, so they just talk. Don't worry about if I'm making any sense or anything like that. So I had great ideas about putting houses on the moon and creating cars with magnets. So you drive along and a magnet pulls it along. All this brilliant stuff. And I had this young girl, and her brother was a year older than she said, so Scott, I've got a business. And I said, well, that's really nice. The whole audience went quiet. And she said, yeah, we do, we collect rubbish off the beach. And I said, oh, that's great, that's lovely. Rubbish off the beach. But but I wouldn't call that a business. I think that's a brilliant idea. And she went, oh, no. It is a business. So I said to her, okay, so would you like to talk about your business? And she went, absolutely. She said, well, we charge people £2 to come and collect litter. I thought, well, that's great, that's sweet, £2. And I said, so how many people normally turn up on a litter pick? And she said, between 40 and 50 in the summer. And I'm thinking, wow, that's £100 to collect litter. This is really cool. And I said, tell more. And she's getting all excited now. And she said to me, oh yeah, because what you do, you have to join the club. I said, what does it cost to join the club? And what do you get for joining this club? She said, you get a tote bag. A tote bag that's made from recycled material. And I said, okay. And now I'm intrigued. I'm now saying, well, how much is a tote bag? And she went, £10. I said, £10 for a bag? She went, yeah. I said, okay. How many have you sold? No word of a lie. 255 bags. 2.5 grand selling tote bags. And now the audience is just, and the teacher, the commerce teacher, is looking at this. And then the brilliant part is the brother stood up and he said to me, he said, Mr. Russell, he said, we've also realised with a black tote bag, you can get advertising. So what we've done is we've spoken to every business in the town and we've got them to put their logo on the front of the tote bag. And I just, what do you charge? He goes, £100. So it's £100, and I've worked out, that's another £1,000. He went, no. He said, there's the back of the bag as well. So I'm looking at this business that's already in my mind turning over £3,500 to £4,000. Does the world need a toting, sea-clearing business? Yes, it does. Does the world need, do these kids love doing it? Yes, they bloody do, okay? And does they make money from it? Yes, they do. Are they good at it? They're bloody brilliant. But then I'm thinking, this is a great business. And the brother said, Scott, he said to me, there are 1,500 beaches around the UK. We're looking to franchise it to 12 of them. I just stood up and gave a round of applause. Look guys, this is a masterclass of business. And people say to me, all the good ideas are taken up now. They're not taken up at all. There's loads of great business out there. And I honestly believe anybody in business at the moment, it's the best time to be in business. You have wonderful facilities like this. You have support. You have peer groups. You've got the bloody internet where you can put your product out to hundreds of thousands of people at the push of a button. Never has been a better time to be in business. That's from heart. So, I gave you 20 minutes. Ooh, I'm slightly over there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get you to take a picture of that, connect with it, connect with the story, get your phones out, take a picture, and if anybody wants to know more about the stories that we're doing, by all means you can do that, okay, you can do that. And I will just leave by saying that you can sense my pride now when I talk about Essex, when I talk about the things that we've been doing to Breen County. You've been a very good audience, actually. I haven't seen anybody grabbing their phone. Young man at the back, did you manage to find a car parking space?
Yes, I did.
You did, well done. Was it worth your while coming in now?
Yes, of course.
I'm so glad to hear that.
That's why I'm mostly here.
I'm Scott, so it's been great talking to you guys this morning. I'll sit down and hand over this wonderful Jackie, who has a brilliant, brilliant business, and you must listen to what she's doing, but thank you for being a great witness.
Morning everybody. That's quite an active one then. Thanks very much. It's a very inspiring presentation. And so if I move on to my first slide, the circular solution for commercial cleaning products. That's quite boring, isn't it, really? It's especially boring when, as a textile marketing graduate who has worked in consumer branding and business strategic development for nearly 20 years, that's quite turgid. However, it's about the sustainability element, which is particularly interesting and exciting, and the business model around it and some of the initiatives are really quite exciting. My journey to sustainability has been through work that I did as an independent consultant, actually I was telling Scott earlier, actually in the agricultural sector, which is not anything that I know anything about. But in order to build a business framework with for the farming community, I needed to understand about agriculture. And in terms of the sustainability arena, they are one of the biggest perpetrators of the issues that we have, but they also have many of the solutions. And in all of that research, it was my sort of light bulb moment, if you like, where I determined that I really had to find a way to make a difference and use the skills that I have to bring about change and make a difference. At the same time, I had refound a gentleman called Chris Tapp, who I used to work with 20 years ago, who was supposed to be on the floor today, but is currently missing in action, so he sent me. He invited me to join his business, which is a supplier of products to the care home sector, which was about as exciting as the commercial cleaning product sector. So I wasn't very excited about that, but he did say that there were some interesting partnership and ideas developing with one of his key suppliers, who happens to be the cleaning product manufacturer. So I'll come on to that in a bit. So the big question would be, why would you do that? Why would you even think about doing something like that? And I did quite a lot of research around trying to solve the problem with plastic. So how big is the problem with plastic? The problem with plastic is, in terms of global production, we're producing more plastic now than we ever have done. In the last 15 years, we've produced more plastic than we did in the first 50. Consumption levels of plastic are absolutely huge. We don't really recognise the consumption of plastic that we have. It's such and it's an indiscriminate part of our lives. The whole of the recycling and reuse industry is challenged by the production and the consumption of plastic, so we don't have the infrastructure to be able to recycle the quantity of plastic that we're using. And legislation is so far behind, so no one is really being mandated to do anything about it. And it's not a widely talked about subject. Carbon emission reduction is at the top of most people's minds, but plastic has been less so. The World Wildlife Fund and Ellen MacArthur Foundation have been bringing this to the fore for a number of years, and most recently at the UN Treaty, which is where this pictures come from, they were able to call on the UN Treaty for plastic pollution at that event. And so there is now a UN treaty governing that. The problem with plastic, it's costing the earth and the oceans. Every single piece of plastic that has ever been produced still exists in the world. Only 9% of it globally is recycled. It's frightening when you think about it in those terms. Plastic is the third largest man-made material globally after steel and cement, so its carbon footprint is huge, but we don't talk about that. And the Ellen MacArthur Foundation has suggested that by 2050 there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish. It's a massive problem. So, the problem with plastic, consumer behaviour is slow to change. This is Glastonbury in 2023, and I've had the 2022 photograph in the previous presentations, and this is better than that. But it does demonstrate that we're just not aware, we're not engaging with this issue at all. Despite all of the initiatives, it's a massive problem. The problem with plastic specifically, the single-use plastic in commercial, is that for the business that we're running, is the application of plastic in the commercial sector. Why is that of interest? It's of interest because there is potential to bring about behavioural change with a fewer number of people to have a greater level of impact. So in terms of consumer single-use plastic usage, there's 9 billion people on the planet. That's an awful lot of people to try and influence. If you can find commercial applications where the usage is high and the number of people you need to influence is less, then you can bring about a greater level of change with a lower amount of effort on my part. So our challenge in the commercial cleaning sector is to reduce single-use plastic. Now, what I find fascinating about this is that solving problems, and Scott talked about initiatives that he's worked with in schools and been really surprised about new business ideas and new business initiatives, which is absolutely fantastic, but not all ideas have to be new. So this isn't at all. It is the idea of a, let me move to that, because this is the really boring bit. But it is quite clever. So the manufacturer of the commercial cleaning products is a company called Tendring Research. They're based up in Derbyshire. They are a family-owned business. They've been going for about 30 odd years. They're about the 3rd largest in the top 5 commercial cleaning manufacturers in the UK. And they are ISO 14001 accredited, so that's an environmental accreditation, it's voluntary. They have taken over, since about 2010, so the last 15 years or so, they have taken sustainability very seriously. It is very much part of their DNA. So the energy that they use to power their manufacturing plant comes from solar panels. They've got about 850. The effluent management system that they use for the production means that the water that comes out the other end is clean water that goes in. And Mark, who is the MD there, was thinking about plastic and how much plastic they use in their system and process. And he calculated that if he took every single container that he shipped from his plant in Buxton in Derbyshire, and he put it all in articulated lorries, and he parked those articulated lorries end to end, it would be 27 miles long. So he thought, need to do something about that. Definitely need to do something about that. And he was cogitating this idea when he was in a pub, as all the best ideas done. And he asked for a pint, and the barman said, just hang on a minute, I need to change the barrel. And he went, that's what I need to do. I need to create a reusable container, like a big barrel beer keg, like a milk bottle, that I can use, send it out, and bring it back, and reuse it. So he goes away and develops this idea with a UK container manufacturer called RPC, and the one thing I will say about RPC is that, just in case I forget, they have a plastics reprocessing plant on site. So as part of this solution programme, if there are any bits of plastic that are broken or misused or left over, they all get collected up and they go back and they are reprocessed. Because only 9% can be, but it is. So he goes away and he applies his very agile brain to solving this problem And what you end up with is a container which is virgin plastic. It's 3 times heavier than a single-use plastic container. There's a cap and bar system here which is accessed through this cap here. Essentially, it's a completely sealed unit, so you solve lots of health and safety at work issues through that. It also means that because the container is sealed, you don't need any other packaging, you don't need any cardboard boxes or anything like that, so all of that's taken away. It also means that you are able to reformulate the products that are in there and increase the concentration levels, which means you're shipping less water, which means that you're improving your carbon footprint of the product that you're shipping around the country, and it also means that you are able to use less. It's that Robinson's concentrated thing. So the skeptic in me determines that it's super concentrated Robinson squash, but you still pull the same amount in. So with this, because it's a controlled dosage system, you actually can't do that, which means that there are cost benefits built into the system. There's lots of stuff that I can go into here, but it is commercial chemicals and they are not very exciting. So, how does it work? So what we do is we will work with clients to plan the demand, so to try and understand what your product usage is, do some conversions, not very clever numbers on an Excel spreadsheet really, and then work out what we think your product proposition should be with us. We then work with you to put together a schedule of delivery so that we're not, it's sort of within this sector, we've just run out, can you get me some more? It's one of those, and we're trying to get away from that so that we can manage that process better. So we schedule, we deliver. When we deliver, we collect all the empties. The empties come back to our hub, then when Selden deliver to us, we then give them the empties, and they go back to the manufacturing plant. Because they're sealed units, they're washed on the outside, which is saves water. Also, there's a barcode here, so that product, the barcode is read and it knows that it's that product, so when it goes back, it will only ever have that product put back into it again, so that's a cost-effective solution. They get refilled, they then get back into stock and they go round again. It's that simple. Who do we work with? So, applications, hospitality, catering, food production. Food production has been really interesting. That wasn't something that we thought about when we started. Schools, universities, local authorities, so education setting, hospitals and care homes, obviously. Care homes we haven't really gone into yet because the laundry products aren't available in the system yet, just because they have to be reformulated because they're too viscous. So there are instability. Tourism, facilities management, tourism obviously is part of the proposition here. So, Selden have worked with Chris for over 6 years. When we saw what this looked like, we decided that it probably didn't fit within a care home supply business. It had to be something separate, so we set up a different business focusing on this because of the applications. There are so many different sectors in which this can go into. So we spent a year building a business plan and trying to get those sorts of things sorted. We launched in April, so we've been about 6 months. We're based just up the road, just over Warner, but only in managing. And we've been working with pilots with organisations to recognising that bringing about this level of change within this product sector is quite difficult. Quite a lot of organisations will have contracts or they have products that they're used to. So we have a 4-week pilot programme that is free of charge for the time frame. It allows us to understand product usage, and it also allows any potential client to use the products and determine that they are as good as we say, because they don't necessarily it's important that you have that confidence. It's one of those product sectors where no one really worries about it until it's not working right, and then it's a real problem. There's a couple of examples I just wanted to talk through with you. We started very early on with Norwich bid, and we ran a pilot across key members in the city of Norwich within the bid district. We are now one of their key initiatives that they're rolling out across the city. They have their AGM, their annual conference later this week. We are going to be featured strongly there, and one of the things that I've done for them is try to calculate what their aggregated single-use plastic waste contribution would be for that membership. And so we were given a redacted list of all of the members. We have identified those sectors that we understand the product usage. So there are lots of companies in there who will be using the product, but we don't know what the usage rates are like. And we have calculated that the Norwich bid membership are probably putting into their single-use plastic waste is something like 96 tonnes a year. Where we have worked with organisations, we are essentially able to mitigate that entirely. We have in Paddy and Scott's, we have run a pilot with them in Ambition House in Ipswich. We have been able to work with them to reduce, just in that outfit, in that setting, we estimate they will only need 10 containers a year on circulation. So everything else that they had in the setup there, they don't need anymore, and it's estimated that the cost benefit to them is around 40%. I think that will probably come down over time. We've also worked with Suffolk Food Hall. We have demonstrated to them significant savings in terms of their single-use plastic, and they've estimated their cost benefit to be around 18%, and he thinks that might go up. So I think we're looking at a cost benefit of the programme to anybody between 20 and 30%. So, and Paddy and Scott's is a really great example about how to work in partnership with organisations. So we are now in discussions with the management team there about how this initiative can be given scale with the franchise network that they have and with the B2B clients that they work with and supply. Because what we're trying to do is support organisations who have a direction of and an ethos around identifying sustainable solutions to some of the problems that they may or may not be familiar with. And so for us, these key pilots are really important because it will enable us to bring about scale, the like of which Chris and I in Manningtree are going to really struggle to do on our own. It's a long old journey. And so I think really that brings me to the end of the presentation. For me, I was very interested in what Scott said about, do you love it? I'm passionate about bringing about change. I could never have gone back to doing what I'm doing, what I was doing before. This idea about reducing the usage on the world's resources is so important. And you need to find, what I believe, I needed to find a path to be able to do that. A partnership with Chris has given me that opportunity. Is it needed? I believe so. Am I good at it? Are we good at it? There's lots of good things and really clever things in here, which is essentially about supplying commercial cleaning products. Do we get paid for it? Not yet. Not yet. But will the business grow, and should it be profitable, and are we then able to make a difference and do good? Yes. Absolutely. So I hope you found that quite interesting.
So I think we're going to coming on to Robert. Can I just say something very quickly, just before we move on? I think that one of the things we've heard today is about three things. There's around inspiration. To hear Jackie, to hear Scott talk about how they have been inspired, how they're passionate about what they do, is really amazing. I've heard Scott speak a couple of times. First time I've heard Jackie, but really interesting about some of them, the passion they bring to it and what we bring to it. But the other interesting thing, I think, which is there, and I see around this room, is our backgrounds. Would you come to something as a background which you'd say, oh, well, that's a normal path? Now, I don't think I should just, I'm Ian Davis, I'm the Chief Executive of Tendring District Council. What was that path to get to being the Chief Executive of Tendring District Council? I was a bus driver. So, I was in the forces, and I was a bus driver. So, we've heard today Scott talking about going from a J-Wick, what was the word you used yourself for yourself?
A gutter
A gutter snipe. I wasn't saying that, making sure that's what you called yourself.
Yeah.
But, you know, in terms of that, and Jackie turned around and said, that didn't sound very interesting. And now listen to the passion which she talks about in that, and about looking at the businesses across here. Is it how you would have planned to where you've got to and what you would be doing now? But also in terms of the passion to bring it. So I just sort of think that it's fascinating to hear from Jackie and from Scott on that one. And now I'm going to pass over to Robert, who's going to talk about, and thank you again for being our sponsor for this morning, about from backing Essex Business.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. This is where I see this down. There we go. Right, so I'm Robert Lorry from Backing Essex Business. Some of you may or may not have heard of us before. First of all, I'd like to thank Tendring for allowing us to present today. I have to say, I work across the whole of North Essex, dealing with a lot of district councils. Tendring do a lot more than a lot of other councils do. So the fortnight of events that they're running in the coming weeks, please go to them. We'll be, at least most of them, or colleagues will, but councillors, please carry on doing what you're doing and supporting local businesses. It really does make a difference, and especially if you're trying to attract more businesses into the area. So, who are we? We are a free business support, and I do say free. There is absolutely no charge for our time or whatever it is that we do. But we're a support and advice service covering businesses across the whole of Essex, and when we say those businesses, they can be sole traders, partnerships, limited companies. They will be startups, or if you've got a business idea and you don't know how to turn it into a business, we can deal with that. You've got a business going and you're wanting to move it forward, how to move that with marketing or logistics or whatever. You're growing and you're wanting to start taking on staff, and we can help with advice on that. But also, more recently, with the economic headwinds, we are seeing a lot of businesses coming to us that are struggling, that are wanting some help and guidance. We might not have all the right answers, but we will try and help where we can. We are funded by Essex County Council and also the North Essex Economic Board, which is a conglomerate of 5 of the district councils across Essex, North Essex, which Tendring is one of them. Now our team is made up of different advisors, bank managers like myself. We've got some business advisors that have been working in different sectors for many years. So we've got lots of experience across lots of different sectors, but more importantly, we've got lots and lots of different business contacts. So if we don't know an answer on something, we probably know somebody that does, or we can have an idea and suggest that you speak to somebody. So we work with both the county and the district councils, but also government departments, to access knowledge about local initiatives, what grant schemes are available, what loan schemes are available, and any other support that is, like for example here today, if a business was coming into the area and had never heard of it and they were looking for somewhere to base themselves, then we can say, hey, look, go and see the Sunspot. They might not have ever heard of it before. It's the same with Braintree Council, who have recently opened up a business centre. So we also can collaborate with lots of local organisations, so Colby, for example, here, Federation of Small Businesses, but also we have specialist advisors, lots of local accountants, lawyers, market companies, etc., where we are not the experts in that field, but we can introduce them to somebody that is reliable and is not going to be ripping you off. So what do we actually do? We provide up to 12 hours of free individual advice across the year, and it can be on any aspect, but we do specialise on financial. Ultimately, at the end of the day, a business does survive on its finances. We can review plans and ideas that you've got, and we can identify aspects that you're having problems with or haven't even thought about, and we will also do a lot of research around it, and that's within the 12 hours that you have with us. And we can call upon professional advisors. Lots of the people that we work with will give their time free as well, so you're not having to pay for anything up front. We also run lots of free workshops and webinars giving practical advice and help on lots of different aspects. And one of those issues that I wanted to cover today, under the North Essex Economic Board, we are running a specialist business programme called Blueprint for Business. It is free for any business within Tendring, Colchester, etc. To be able to take part in. They are a mixture of workshops, so it's face-to-face, but also webinars, but also, more importantly, there is some individual coaching and mentoring that you can have. And we've estimated that it's probably worth about £2,500 per business free support that you can have. The programme started last week and it runs through to March next year. The events you can dip in and out of, so you don't have to go to everything. There's 13 different workshop and events that are being run. The workshops are local, so for example, we've got the Love Spa for around here, and also there's one at Wivenhoe House. But if you want to go slightly further afield, Malden, Chelmsford, we're running events there as well. But you can dip in and out of what you feel is going to be helpful to yourself. I'll just briefly touch on business finance. We can discuss and review what finance you actually need. The amount of times I've had somebody come to me go, oh, I'm looking for a grant or looking for a loan, and you go, well, what is it you're looking to do and how much do you actually need? And they'll go, oh, I'll get as much as I can get. No, that's not how, unfortunately, these things work. But, so we can help actually work out what it is that you're needing, and therefore what financial assistance is available. And it may well be that it's via a local grant, it might be a national grant if they're still around, or it might be loans. One of the loan schemes that we do associate with is the government's startup loan scheme, which is what it says on the tin. It is a scheme for startups. If you went to a bank or another lender and you haven't got a track record of a couple of years, they're not going to be interested. So there is government help out there that we can pass on for you. We'll also help with the presentation and getting all the information together. Lenders tend to speak a different language to business owners, which probably I suspect you've found. So we can help put that together and get all the information, so when you go in front of a lender, you've got all the information that they're going to need, and actually that'll be a big tick in the box because they think that you know what you're talking about. We will also work with a lot of the high street banks. We actually got their telephone numbers and actually know who to speak to. So you can speak to somebody real rather than being directed to their website or somebody to a branch who doesn't know what they're talking about. One thing I would say, please don't be afraid to seek some help. Given the current economic climate, lots of businesses are struggling. We do get, unfortunately, some referrals come through which are really too late. Speak to us as soon as you feel that you need some help or advice, it gives lots more wiggle room. I'll give you one example. Recently I've been working with a retailer in Colchester. She was 2 years behind on her rent from the COVID period. She'd been paying her rent since then, but we're talking £27,500 worth of overdue rent. The units around her had all closed, so we sat down with her, went through her financials, helped her put together a presentation package and sent her off to see a landlord, which was one of the big nationals. They were so impressed by her showing that she is making a profit now and that she can afford the current rent, and that if they demanded that she pay this back rent, she'd have to close. That would be another closed unit with units all around. What is going to attract a new retailer to there? Surprise, surprise, they wrote off the whole 27,500 just to keep her. So we can do things out the law. So in conclusion, there is lots of free practical advice and support available for Essex businesses. Please come and speak to us regarding anything it is that you want to know. If it's not us, we'll be able to pass you on to probably the relevant person rather than you waste your time trying to track down whoever that is. We know it's difficult. We know you haven't got all the time in the world. We can help do that for you and navigate you to the tailored support that is available. So we are specialists in finance and guidance, but we've got a wealth of other contacts as well in different sectors. As I say, if we don't know the answer on something, we'll know somebody has it. And that reminds me, so I had one last week. A small business making beauty products, an opportunity to work with QVC, but they've got to go through a process of being checked out, shall we say, and presenting their case. That's not anything that any of us on the team had ever come across before, but we made a few phone calls, a few contacts were made, and eventually we found somebody that actually has helped a lot of businesses get onto QVC, and we were able to put her in contact with them free of charge, and now they're going to work with that. Fingers crossed they'll be able to get selected. But that's the kind of stuff that we can do. So I'll be here afterwards, so if anybody would like to come and chat with me, be delighted to do so. We will also be at the events across the fortnight, so if I'm not around then some of my colleagues will be, but otherwise just have a look on our Backing Essex Business website. It will have a lot of information about the blueprint for business, so if you wanted to register to attend those events, you can do so via that. But thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you have a good day.
A minute, so if anyone wants to take the details there. I get to do the easy bit now. Thank everyone for coming. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to Ivan. Thank you to Ian. And has anyone got any questions for any of the speakers? Ivan, Ian, any questions at all? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we've sort of touched on businesses and recycling and plastics and single-use plastic and stuff like that. Is there any plans in the future to implement recycling points along our coastlines? As a business owner of the Seabreeze kiosk on the seafront, everything is takeaway, so we're using stuff that ends up quite often on the beach, and we do have litter pickers, volunteers that come along and do all that sort of stuff. But I'm just curious, as it's a business opportunity and something that can benefit all of our coastlines.
I don't know the answer.
No, that's right. Well, there's two parts to that actually in terms of the answer. So at the moment, Essex is doing a consultation around its waste strategy and the waste disposal. So so please do go online and actually contribute to that, because that's the county. Just to be boring for a second, we're the collector and the county of the disposal unit. So it's sorry to do local government divide. That sounds completely bizarre, and it is completely bizarre, and actually it's an additional cost to the taxpayer and should change, but it doesn't at the moment. So that's how it works. So apologies for that. We're also going through a process at the moment where we are looking at our new round of contract and what services we'll provide. again within the envelope. I think your point around how do we create, making it easier for others to do it, is really important, because actually the frustration I get is when people throw it away, and then the taxpayers of Essex and the taxpayers of Tendring then have to pay for somebody else to come and clear up after people. So annoying. And so trying to make it easier, I think, is a really valid point, and certainly something both for the Essex-wide waste strategy, but also for our own in terms of what we're doing when we re-tender for our one. It is very much in our mind in both ways. So thank you for raising the point, really good point.
Can I just add something to that as well, if you don't mind? You can now buy compostable cups with cornstarch lids, and it's much easier to compost than it is to recycle, actually, because you can do that in your home composting, or you can do it in the council composting. But it composts, the new cups compost at the same rate as an apple, and it's then turned into viable sort of material afterwards.
There is an additional cost to that as well.
There is. It's not huge now. These are good cups. These are one of your cups.
Yeah.
So these are made with sort of a nice sort of paper coating. It's lined with polymer, so it's plastic in there, which sort of being recycled. So you're paying a premium for that. It's good to see this because it is a good cup, but not for a great deal more. You could get a fully compostable with a cornstarch lid, which would be brilliant, I think.
Yeah. Well, here we'll have ceramic anyway. So
Yeah.
once I've got a kitchen, so I can wash up.
Well, you know what's really good? The young girl there with the Keep Cup, encourage your customers to use Keep Cup, give them a discount to make it worthwhile, and then they'll bring their Keep Cups back to you as well. In an ideal world, if you were serving coffee with no takeaway cups, you'd be a hero here.
I don't want to talk to you afterwards anyway.
And I think that, and a big thank you, because I think that and I've already tasted some of the food the other day, fantastic. So you've done a great job in terms of the new unit as well.
Thank you.
So
I'm also fourth generation J-Wick, and I was also a
were you running around together? Was it?
I got clipped down here.
No, I was fast.
There was also one thing I did miss when I was doing my opening remarks, which reminded me when I saw the Shared Prosperity Fund. We have our Shared Prosperity UK Fund, which is now closed, and we were oversubscribed, but a large number of people did that. But there's also the Rural England Prosperity Fund, which is ongoing at the moment, and that is in support and funding for business as well. So have a look on our website, and if we can help in any way, your success, we keep saying it, your success is our success, so if we can help you provide the necessary funding to support your business, then please apply and have a look at it.
Yeah, and there's a map as well with the Rural Prosperity Fund as to which areas do qualify, because it is rural. Basically, it's Clacton, Holland, Jaywick, and a tiny little bit of St Osyth that must upset central government at some point that don't qualify, but the rest of the area, yeah, to have a little look, there's different projects there. Capital mode, well, it's a capital fund, so it's something physical rather than the revenue fund that was the Shared Prosperity. The Shared Prosperity Fund will be coming back next financial year if you have missed it this year, so yeah, just keep an eye out. Has anyone got any other questions?
Just last thing to say, so to keep hijacking, but this project has been funded by, but also they've funded 500 school meals that are going into Mysore, India. So there are 500 children that will have school meals from the proceeds of this presentation today. So I think, round of applause for people, especially persons as well from Tendring4Growth. So well done for that.
I think that's a great point to which to say thank you all very much indeed for coming.
So hang around downstairs, still tea, coffee, I'm assuming there's pastries left, I didn't.
Unless whoever we left down